Welcome back to another episode of Streets and Scholars. We're on episode 10. I'm Alex Alonso, and I'm here with FG, a.k.a. Frank Thornton. What's going on with you, man?
Man, what's going on, Alex?
Oh, man, just getting it in for another episode.
No doubt, no doubt.
For the people.
Exactly.
The people been, oh, you know what? I wanna shout out our 5 top cities that are listening.
Okay.
And let me see. I hope I still got that up here. The 5 top cities that be listening. I was surprised that the number 1 city that's listening. We'll do it from the fifth city down to number 1. Our number 5 most of our listeners, ranking number 5 is New York City.
Oh wow.
They're our 5th most listened to audience. Our 4th is Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia.
3rd is Los Angeles.
Okay, LA.
Number 2 is Denver. And our largest audience right now is tapping in from Seattle.
Man, shout out to Seattle.
Yeah.
Shout out to all them guys. We really appreciate you guys for listening.
Man, I can't believe that. And I'm a little confused here. Like, how Seattle I would have thought LA would have been our largest audience.
No doubt. I definitely would have thought that.
But also we got Riverside at number 6, which is right down the street.
Right.
We have San Francisco at number 10.
Okay.
Vegas is number 12. So we got some close cities. But yeah, I was a little surprised that Seattle and Denver are number 1 and 2. So shout out to all you guys in Seattle. And shout out to Denver. And shout out to everybody all over the world. Next week, I'll bring up some of the international data. Because we got people tapping in from all over the world, actually.
Oh.
Australia, Africa, all the countries in Europe. But yeah. All right. So last week we talked about the possibility of Jada and Will Smith getting married, and I had just
divorced.
I'm sorry, getting divorced.
Yeah.
And I threw out that Dr. Dre's wife got $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really sure, but I looked it up, and it was $100 million.
Yeah.
She's getting 2 checks, one for $50 million, and then another one for $50 million. But in addition to the $100 million, this is what else she gets. She gets to keep all the jewelry that she's accumulated over their 20-year marriage, which they didn't say what it's worth, but
I'm sure it's maybe $1 million.
Yeah, at least $1 million. They don't buy cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And she gets to keep 4 cars: a Rolls Royce, a Range Rover, an Escalade limousine, and I never heard of this Spider motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
So she came out like a bandit, huh?
She did good.
She did good, huh? Yeah. What do you think those 4 cars are worth? The Rolls Royce, Range Rover, Escalade limo, and the Spider motorcycle.
I would say about $700,000 at least.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did really well. So shout outs to Nicole Young for negotiating an amazing. But you know what? In California, you're supposed to get like 50-50.
Right.
I was reading the divorce papers. His value, Dr. Dre's value, was $800 million. And she's coming out with about $100 million. So that's nowhere near 50%.
No doubt, but at the same time, I don't know how they go in there and accumulate it. Maybe some of it was, he had invested in something that, a vehicle that can't be touched. I mean, I don't know,
I think the way they calculated is that he was earning a lot of this stuff before marriage. She had no contribution to some of these profits. So I'm glad that they go in there and they say, look, Nicole, this whole section of his wealth was before you.
Right.
He made all this money off of this deal before you.
Right.
So that has nothing to do with you. But even though $100 million is a lot, it's nowhere near the 50% that he got.
No doubt, and they were together a long time. You know what I mean? I think that means something in the marriage, I remember Garth Brooks had to give Sandy $100 million. The Golf King, Tiger had to give up $100 million.
But he gave up all that money with a child that was still a minor. Their kids, Dr. Dre, they're grown. They're in their 20s.
No doubt.
So,
but I'm just saying that they had substantial wealth and gave up $100 million, and it wasn't 50%.
Yeah.
So I believe it came out pretty good.
Yeah, she's doing well. I want to shout out the 3 Republicans that voted for Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji, I have a tough time saying her name. I ain't never met a Ketanji.
Right.
Have you ever even heard of that
Not
name?
Ketanji, no.
I ain't never met no sister named Ketanji. But shout out to Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and of course everybody. We all love Mitt Romney from Utah, from the Mormon state. Those are the three Republicans that voted for her. So without them, she still would have got it, because if it was just a 50-50 tie,
then
the vice president,
right, Kamala
Harris, she's the tiebreaker.
Exactly.
So shout out to them, but they would have got it anyways. And what else? Oh, it was a trip. Harry Galarte went to court a day after Cain Velasquez went to court. Right? So, but they're going to different courts.
Okay.
Because it's I think it's different jurisdictions. But he didn't go to court. He had a court date. His lawyer went on his behalf.
On his behalf.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about that. A lot of times, I guess if you got a little bit of money, the lawyer can go to court for you, and you don't got to be there. How does that work out?
It works on what kind of motion they filing. Some motions don't require you to be there. Some do. So I've seen it before, and I get it. They go in there so fast, either just put the motion in or try to get the motion granted. But sometimes they get that done. Yeah, it's only
it was just a quick court hearing. It wasn't nothing long. But what's interesting is Galarte's attorney publicly is on the record now saying he's an innocent man. We're gonna clear all this up. This guy didn't do anything that he's being alleged. But I'm saying this myself. Well, that's what the lawyer's supposed to say, right?
No doubt. And I mean, he may to prove it. You know what I mean? We are talking about a 4-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So he still have to go in there and prove it. Beyond a reasonable doubt that these allegations is fits him. But I want to see how this pans out.
Yeah, man. I was listening to the lawyer, and he's doing what he's supposed to do for his client. But here's the crazy part: Galarte is facing 8 years in prison, while Cain is facing 20 years.
And that's the part I'll be mad at. I'll be pissed off about that point.
Well, I guess it's because he pulled a weapon out and started busting, and I guess we're gonna punish that more. But no one died, no one was killed. I don't even think anyone is permanently injured, from what I understand of the injuries. So him facing 20 years is crazy. Let's see, what else? Oh, last week we were talking about how you feel the Democrats do push a gay agenda, and I feel like they all do. But even though the Republicans are in a position where they seem to be against it, but I remember I said there was a Republican that was, I guess, down low gay, and no one knew. His name was Larry Craig of Idaho, and he had an incident in a Minneapolis airport where he was trying to, I guess, hit on another dude in the
foot tapping.
Yeah, the foot tapping. The foot tap. This happened in 2007, so you wasn't even home yet.
No, I wasn't, but I did hear about that one because I had no idea that a foot tap. I guess they got these secret handshakes or secret.
Yeah.
Never would have knew that.
But look, his excuse was that he's got a wide stance when he uses the bathroom in the stall.
Right. I bet he do.
But he pled out. They charged him with two counts of.
Oh, they end up charging him?
They charged him, and he pled guilty to disorderly conduct. And then he agreed he was going to resign, but then he changed his mind and didn't resign. And then he regretted taking the plea decision. And let me read something that he said, which is funny to me. He said, I'm not gay. I never have been gay. I overreacted and made a poor decision. I chose to plead guilty to a lesser charge in hopes of making it go away. Please let me apologize to my family, friends, staff, and fellow Idahoans for the cloud placed over Idaho. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong at the Minneapolis airport. I did nothing wrong, and I regret the decision to plead guilty and the sadness that decision has brought on my wife, my family, friends, staff, and fellow Idahoans. And let me tell you, the biggest thing I hate about these dudes that do be pushing the gay agenda and be trying to do stuff like this, Senator, is that they got families that don't even know how they're moving.
Right.
And if you want to move like that, then move like that. But don't live a life where you got family, kids, sons, daughters that don't know anything about this whole other gay lifestyle you have. And it just looks like that's what Larry Craig was doing, and he was a Republican.
No doubt. You're absolutely right. You know what I mean? And I hate that situation too. Because even in prison, man, you see these dudes that slipping these, doing homosexual activities, and then they go on a visit and their whole wife and kids come to visit them. That's something that kind of despise. So I really feel the same way you feel about that. But yeah, this guy right here, He definitely. I think he's gay still.
Oh no, it's a fact he's gay because when this thing happened, about 4 or 5 other guys that he messed with came forward.
Oh wow.
Came forward, a masseuse dude, and So he didn't resign. He decided he was going to stay out his term, and then he didn't run again, and his political career was over.
Yeah.
Never came back again. But so I don't know how many Republicans are actually living like this, but I just feel like it's on both sides. I guess the Democrats get more of the heat, well, not really the heat, but they're doing, like, for example, Jesse Jackson. He's a Democrat through and through. I don't think that Jesse Jackson co-signs all this homosexuality.
No, I'm not gonna say it's all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do understand, or what I don't like is that you guys cater to people to get that vote. You know what I mean?
They do.
You do things for the gay lesbian community to get their vote, you know, and you may not even believe in what they talking about, but to get that vote, you gonna bend the rules or act like you do the dance, you know, and that's what I don't like. Stand on what you really stand on, run on what you really gonna run on, and let the people decide.
But I always like go back to what would Jesus do, and we got a lot of stories of Jesus. And I was listening to one of your videos on your channel, and you said you ain't really overly religious or kind of believe in all of that. But even though Jesus is the representation of Christianity and doing all these things right, when he was in the streets, when he was in the highways and the byways, he spoke to thugs. He spoke to criminals. He spoke to prostitutes.
No doubt.
He didn't turn his back on anybody. So if Jesus was here, he would say, hey, I'm not with the homosexuality, but let's still love our brothers and sisters.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy how it's become political. All of these I guess this whole gender thing and this whole gay thing. And the last thing I want to say about it is you're right. They constantly putting this imagery in front of us. I'm watching 50 Cent's show. And it's like every other episode is some gay stuff going on.
Right. I actually stopped watching, had my kids stop watching Empire because of that. I mean, they were just overly just every other scene. It just seemed like you was kind of forcing it down our throats. And I'm not against it. I don't want to see it on every episode. You have to make sure that, you showing this. And maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm really just, like I say, but I don't want to see it every time.
No, I agree.
But do that make me a bad person for not wanting to?
Not at all.
Okay.
I had a person tell me that if you're against homosexuality, then you're homophobic. And I'm like, well, what if you're against it because of religious reasons? You're homophobic. I'm like, so some people don't care.
Okay.
What your position is.
Yeah.
They don't care what it is. I'm watching the new Tommy show. Tommy, which is a spinoff of one of the previous ones.
Right. I like Tommy.
Within the second or third episode, we find out that Tommy's long lost black brother, he's gay.
Right.
And I was just like, damn, we only in episode 3.
Only in episode 3.
So I do feel like every single show, and I don't think 50 Cent is doing this.
No, but you have executives that's their agenda, that's in high places when it comes to TV shows, and that's what they choose to put out there.
And I'm watching The Walking Dead with my wife, one of her favorite shows, and I'm like, they throwing it in The Walking Dead. They're in an apocalypse. Their whole day is about surviving. And they throwing in all that stuff in these shows.
Did you hear about that? They want to give transgender people $900 a month. The government want to give them $900 a month. Hey, man, we all human. Give us all $900 a month if that's the case,
Yeah, we could all use it. But all right, I also wanted to mention that Ed Buck, who was a famous Democratic donor here in Los Angeles, who lived in West Hollywood for years, he's 60-something, 62 or 65. He just got sentenced to 30 years in the feds for supplying the dose of methamphetamine to two black gay guys that he was messing with. And that was his fetish. He would find these vulnerable black dudes and bring them into his place, give them meth, and he's been doing this for years.
Right.
But and here's a case that Jackie Lacey, the black female DA of L.A., former DA, she wouldn't want to prosecute Ed Buck. And the thing is, because Ed Buck gives so much money to their campaigns.
Oh, okay.
He's always donating money.
Right.
Money. So that everyone was like, oh, no, Ed Buck is a good guy.
Right.
The feds had to do this.
No doubt.
LA would not prosecute it.
Man, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and that's definitely a problem. Come on, man. It don't matter who they are.
Yeah, so he got 30 years for that, and I was a little shocked, but shoot, that shit is crazy what he was doing.
No doubt. And I wonder how long it's been going on, just based on, if these two men wouldn't have died, or if only one died.
Well, they have him doing this since 2010 or 11, but we don't know when he really started doing that. But I ain't never heard of no fetish where I want to give you methamphetamine and just watch you get high off of it.
Well, I mean, what they do when they get high, we don't know. So
yeah.
It might have been something that came with the high. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't follow the specifics of that case, but I was glad to find out he was convicted. But this is a good example where money didn't help him.
No, money didn't help him, but I mean, 2 black men died, man. And I don't know all the circumstances. I did see that. I read a little bit of it, but it had to be a little more because technically, doing drugs or being high is not a crime. The possession of the drugs and all that is a crime, but actually, being under the influence of drugs is, they can't convict you for that. So it had to be something else that the way he administered it to him, or it had to be a little something else in there for them to go and give him that much time.
Yeah, well, shoot. Two dead black dudes in your apartment is
enough to
All right, let's see what else here. Well, we can get into talking about these 4 cases, man. These 4 fascinating cases which have to do with snitching, ratting, and informing. And we talked about this in a previous episode, which I realize is one of our most downloaded and most streamed episode. And before we get into these 4 cases, which we're going to talk about T.I., Lil Cease, Jimmy Henchman, and Tim Allen. But before we get into it, why do you think that episode was so popular?
You know what? I have no idea because we talk about a lot of interesting things. But like I say, I think people think we got in the cut. Somebody's about to get outed, so they listening. They might think we got setting something up. You know what I mean? When really we just, Now
we talking about already cases that have occurred among some of your favorite people. So we'll start off with this T.I. one. This T.I. one is a little unusual because he got arrested on a federal gun case. Mm-hmm. But then he testified in a state case in Cincinnati, Ohio, which had to do with the death of his very, very close friend from the sandbox.
Yeah, Philant.
Yeah, Philant Johnson. So I don't know if the 2 cases are related, but the fact of the matter is he did testify in that murder trial of the guy Hosea Thomas. Mm-hmm. Did you get a chance to listen or read any of the transcripts of T.I. testifying?
I did.
Okay.
I listened to about 30 minutes of it, and he talked about a lot of things. He said a lot of things. He said, when they start shooting, when they left the club, how the incident happened at the club with the fight with Philant. He said a lot of things, Alex, but I listened to it real good, and he never gave no details, though, about the shooter. He never said a what color car. He never said a black guy, white guy, Chinese guy. He never gave up no intricate details. You know what I mean? He did say what happened in the events of things of how his best friend got killed, but he didn't tell on nobody in that situation. And some people would be like, oh, he got on the stand. He said that, they were at the nightclub. That's telling. I mean, you know what I mean? He didn't give up no intricate details about the shooters. You know what I mean? So that one right there is a little tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he just timelined it out without giving any details. You're right. There was no car description. There was no shooter description. So where do we put him at then?
Well, that's the thing about it. That's where I have problems at. Not with the Philant case, even though that's the case that he got on trial, testified in, said a whole lot of things, but didn't give one testimony about the shooter, basically. No identification, nothing like that. So it was no snitching right there, I can't call him a snitch, but I still wonder how he got caught with machine guns, silencers. They went to his house. Between the house and the car, they found 8 guns, and you're an ex-felon. You know, you got a year in jail, a year's home confinement, $100,000 fine. I don't see nowhere in no testimony where he got a 5K1, where he got a downward departure, you know, where he did a proffer. You know, I don't see none of that in that case. All I'm doing is saying, how did you get it? How did you get that deal? So I won't sit there and point and say you told on somebody, because I don't have no physical evidence to state that. You know me, I'm heavy on. I'm not gonna call a man a rat unless I got some evidence. But I just was wondering how, you know, he got that much love, being that it was a federal. You know, the guns were federal.
All right, so you're right. He was sentenced to 1 year and a day for possessing multiple machine guns, silencers also, and how is that possible?
I have no idea. That's why I'm
because we talked about the sentencing guidelines. According to what you said before, there's at least a 5-year minimum.
No doubt. And then you have multiple ones with silencers. It's just. Like I say, I can't call him a rat because I don't have anything that states that, you know. But I just don't know how he got that much love. They must have really liked that guy or something.
Well, people who do call him a rat are basing it on him testifying.
Exactly. I do get
case.
that. No, I get that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I listened to that case good. But you're going to have people to say that anybody got on the witness stand or he told. But if you go listen to what he said, he didn't tell anything. You know what I mean? He told that they were there. They got shot at. His friend died. We went to the hospital in a white van and got out the black van. He said all that. But he didn't tell no details on the shooters. You know, so I can't call him a rat on that one. You know, because I understand the witness stand. I understand the court law. I understand what they try to do is, what they want to do is when they get you up on that stand, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions and see if you answer other questions correctly. So when you get to the meat of the case, you're credible, you know, in that situation. You know, I've only been on the stand for myself, and some of the questions that I had to answer about myself before we even got to the case. You know, are you a gang member? Have you ever been in a gang? And, you know, you have to answer these questions first. You know what I mean? And like I say, on these cases, I didn't have a co-defendant. It's just me. But if I lie and say I was never a gang member, when you pulled me over, I wasn't in a green truck, or if I lie about this stuff, my credibility don't mean shit when I get to the actual part of the case.
Yeah.
So some people don't get that part. And, like I said, I listened to him, and it still may be people, I'm sure, call him a rat on that case, but I listened to him good, and he never gave up nothing.
Yeah, I agree that testifying and informing are two different things. And then here's another thing that we didn't mention is that his family, the family of Philant, of course, wanted, you know, justice for their family member. And he is close to that family. So how does it look if he says, man, I ain't testifying in that case to the family of Philant, because they're going to think T.I.'s got something to hide, you know?
Well, true. And don't get me wrong. I still may have handled the situation differently. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm stern about, you know, getting up on that stand in any situation unless it's me for myself. But you absolutely right. But it's still a lot of people that just wouldn't have did it no matter what. You know, when we out in them streets, you know, we out doing this, you know, this is how the street life go. This how this shit goes. You know what I mean? So I basically, you know, wouldn't have did it personally. You know, my best friend would have got killed just based on, man, this is really what happened out here. You know, if you know this was my best friend and you really believe in your heart that I'm telling the truth, then you should know that I'm not finna go. Now, sometimes when you get subpoena, you gotta go. There's no question about it. You hit that subpoena, hit your way, you gotta go. You know, but it still depends on what you say. You know what I mean? And they can't make you talk, and they can't make you force you to say things. You know, he chose to speak on his own, but all I'm saying was, I know a lot of people that wouldn't have went and got on that stand, but he, for me listening to everything he said, man, he didn't snitch on nobody.
Yeah, and there's mixed feelings on T.I. regarding this specific case where he testified. But let me read a couple comments, because I think some of the people got it completely correct. This one guy named Cherokee Bowles said, for those thinking he snitched, he got subpoenaed and gave a vague explanation. Nowhere did T.I. say any names, point any fingers, not even a security guard snitched. The only reason the shooter got locked up was because his own brother, who was the driver of that car, snitched him out to get a lesser sentence. So I think that's a guy that he kind of gets it. He's kind of saying what we're saying.
Yeah, he does. You know, like I said, still people that's gonna say different, but that's where I stand on it.
Okay, so back to his gun case.
Yeah, back to that.
First question is, and I've seen this sentence before. Lil Kim, we'll talk about Lil Kim in a minute. She got sentenced to a year and a day, and so did Martha Stewart get sentenced to a year and a day. It says here T.I. got sentenced to a year and a day. What's up with this weird Fed sentence to a year and a day?
Well, you know what? I was confused at first too. I was, man, why they get the day? Why they get the day? But actually, what the day does, if they sentence you to 12 months, you're not eligible for no good time or anything like that. You're not eligible for your 85% or no kind of good time. If they give you that day, that extra day past a year, it qualifies you for any good time. So if you got 12 months, you can just do 9 or 10 and come home. You know what I mean? That's what the day does.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So T.I.'s max sentence for this gun case was actually 20 years. I guess they racked up for all the guns, for all the ammunition, for all the silencers, and
Not to mention he was a felon.
and he was already a convicted felon. Do you think that agreeing during your plea agreement, agreeing to do community service, agreeing to do, stop the violence videos, agreeing to doing 1,000 years of other anti-drug messages, agreeing to all this stuff can get a sentence reduced down to a year and a day?
Obviously it did, but at the same time, I'm gonna tell you where else he messed up with this one. He messed up by doing the tips, the We Tips commercial.
Oh yeah.
When he got to encouraging people to call in and report crimes. Now I know in his mind he's saying real gangsters ain't gonna do that anyway. But at the same time, man, that's why he lost me at right there.
I forgot about the We Tips.
Yeah, he did the We Tips, man, and that's where more people was mad at than any other thing on this case, because you basically saying, man, make sure you tell, you know what I mean? So that rubbed everybody the wrong way, especially the dudes in the streets, maybe not regular civilians, but the people out in the streets, the gangsters out in the streets, like, dude, you promoting ratting, and but I don't know, man, I just don't know nobody in the history of history that we knew in the streets that got caught with any amount of ammunition like he had, guns and machine gun silencers, and get that kind of time. To me, it's suspect.
Now, when you only get the year and a day, is it possible that he went to a low? Do you know anything about where he went?
Yeah, he was in, where was he at? Texarkana or Fort Worth. I believe he was in Fort Worth. And if I'm not mistaken, I know a few guys I ran into was with him. I just forgot where they say they were, and but he was on the yard. He walked the yard like he said he did. He wasn't. But yeah, they was at Lowe's.
And I'm assuming that some of the people there may have felt a certain kind of way that you only got a year.
Well, yeah, no doubt. But a lot of, like he said though, he showed his paperwork. T.I. said, look, I brought my paperwork to the homies. He said the Georgia car, pushed up on him basically like, listen, man, we got your back, but you got to be right. He gave them their paperwork. They reviewed his paperwork. Wasn't nothing in his paperwork, no downward departures or no extra, like I say, 5K1s or Rule 35Bs, was in his paperwork. They read his plea agreement, looked at his court docket and all that, and they said that he was straight. So if none of this stuff was in your paperwork, then technically you can't say that I did something faulty. I'm just saying, me personally, I mean, just to be honest with me personally, it could be nothing in his paperwork, and I'll still be like, I ain't messing with it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's just because it's unanswered, right?
It's unanswered, man, and now we don't know nobody who's done it, and everybody else gonna get busted upside their head. And we know you got money. We know you probably had high-powered lawyers. We know you posted a $3 million bill that the rest of us couldn't have done. You know what I mean? And was able to fight your case with the best lawyers. It's just, all I'm saying is a suspect, but if it's not in his paperwork, I can't call him a rat, Let
me see if I could play this little T.I. video. The name of this video is called T.I. Snitching on Crime Stoppers.
Oh, yeah.
I might not be able to get this play. Let's see here. Here we go. Here we go. Listen to this.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? Some people call me Tip, but this is about another kind of tip that can help our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and our fathers help get the perpetrators who commit crimes against them off the streets. All you got to do is call Crime Stoppers Atlanta. Tips can be anonymous, and there's even a reward. The number to Crime Stoppers Atlanta is 404-577-8477. That's 404-577-TIPS. Channel 2, community coverage you can count.
What you think about that, man?
Oh man, he let us all down with that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he let us all down with that one.
Yeah, I don't know if
And I do get it probably from his perspective. Like I ain't told on nobody, but this finna help me get this year and this day. You know, I don't believe in crime. You know, he could not. I don't think he the type of guy that's gonna call Crime Stoppers his damn self. I'm just saying, you made the video, man. Some of these things are a violation in the streets. You know.
I guess he just did not want to sit down for 5-6 years, huh? That's what it boiled down to.
It boiled down to that, you know. But like I say, it just. I mean, I can't speak on it, man. It's just that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to stamp him a snitch based on what he testified in at the Cincinnati, Ohio trial. I listened to that and I read the transcript at least 2 or 3 times. And he just gave a timeline. He just answered basic questions, didn't ID anyone, didn't ID a car. And I don't think he informed on anybody.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you on that one. You know, you still gonna have people that have their own opinions, but like I say, for me, no paperwork showed in the gun cases that he had. And like I say, he was a rat, but the Crime Stopper video in itself, you know, I'm not gonna stamp him nothing. I'm just gonna, you know, like I say, stay away from him.
Yeah, I could understand that. And, you know, my boy Spider Loke from East Coast is always going in on T.I. He says he's a cold snitch based on the Ohio case, based on the Cincinnati, Ohio case. But if you got some information other than what we have here available to us, let me know, because as I see it, I'm not gonna stamp him that at this point.
No doubt.
What about you? Give him a medium stamp?
You know what? On the Crime Stopper thing, and you know, like I say, them guns is questionable.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a half stamp him. You know,
He gets a half stamp.
he gonna get a half stamp for that one.
I'm gonna give the brother a pass on that one, because the dude that went to prison for killing his boy I don't believe his testimony, you know, added to any of that, and he didn't ID anyone. Let's go to, I think this one is a slam dunk, but I want to talk about it anyways, because this is a case where this young man at the time, Lil Cease, he denied what he did, but then years later apologized for what he did in a very vague way. But basically, back in 2001, Lil Kim, she denied that her manager Damian Butler was present, or she was with him, or he was around when she answered questions with federal investigators. And then I guess later videos and other people's witness statements not only showed that Damian Butler was the shooter of this incident that happened in 2001 outside of Hot 97, but Lil Kim was right there, and her limousine helped get these guys away. And I think it took them 4 years. This happened in 2001. And then in 2005 is when the whole case came
brewing.
Yeah. So by that time, they had a statement from Lil Cease that put Damian Butler at the scene. And I don't know if his information is the only information that got Lil Kim convicted. But at the end of the day, Lil Cease did provide some information.
He provided some information. Now, I don't know about the Damian Butler side of it. The Lil Kim side of it was like this, though. They had a slam dunk case on Lil Kim. Whoever was her lawyer, whoever was her homeboys, whoever was her people, they supposed to told her take that deal and damn near made her take that deal. Ain't no way you should have went to trial, you know. So then once you went to trial, now they started subpoenaing people, whether it's your side or whether it's the U.S. attorney side or the district attorney side. And once they get to subpoena Lil Cease, he had to come to court. Now, once you come to court, now here's another thing. They get up there, they get on the stand, and they start talking. You know, me, I'm not gonna talk. Period. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm use my Fifth Amendment rights, or I'm not going to get up there and say nothing, even if you did subpoena me. If it's consequences to that, I'm going to take those, Alex. You know what I mean? But I'm not finna get up there and say something. But what Lil Cease didn't do, he didn't get up there. He was in a situation where either I'm going to get up here and lie and now I'm going to have a perjury case, or I'm going to get up here and say what these people really already know. You know what I mean?
Or he could plead the fifth. Isn't
But,
that
but I'm
another
finna
option?
say, so he chose to tell. He chose to tell, but lying wasn't gonna get him. Lying was gonna get him in jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that his only options was lying or going to jail or just, but he shouldn't have said nothing. You know what I mean? You know, stand on it, homie. They give you 90 days, 60 days, 80 days for not speaking. You know, let it be. You know, especially when you out in these streets and you talking about some gunplay, you talking about some junior mafia, you talking about some gangster shit. That's how you handle that, man. Even if you get subpoenaed, get up there and don't have nothing to say, man.
See, this is what I don't understand in these types of cases. If Lil Cease decides I don't want to answer any questions, the most he can do is 6 months.
Right.
It's not like they're going to give him 5 years.
No doubt.
So I don't understand why these people always feel compelled that they got to tell when they don't really have to. Hey, sit down for 30 days if you got to.
Real shit.
It's just a contempt.
Real shit.
Yeah.
And he chose to go this route by stating what his ideology was. I'm stating what they already know.
Yeah.
You know, and they did know everything by this time. You know what I mean?
But the jury don't know, or the grand jury don't know, or the
absolutely
judge
right.
doesn't
No,
know.
you're
So they need
absolutely
another outside person to say. So that's an excuse. Hey, y'all got to stop saying I'm just telling what they already know. Well, the jury don't know.
Yeah, cut that shit out.
Yeah, that's what the purpose of you coming there is for, is so that you can corroborate the story that, yeah, they already know, but they need you to tell the jury. Because the prosecutor can't tell the jury.
Right. Or they can't go back and use certain statements that was made earlier in a lower court or certain things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, he got up there, man, and he did that, and he put her at the scene, you know.
Put her at the scene, and again, she got sentenced to a year and a day. But yeah, everybody that was charged pled out except Lil Kim.
Right, and she probably would have damn near got probation or 3 months or 90. I mean, I don't see her getting no rack of time. You know, if they gave you that on a trial, I'm sure they would have gave you less on the plea.
Yeah, and this all stemmed from a beef she had with Foxy Brown. I guess these two women could not find enough space where they can both be considered great rappers. They had a beef going back and forth, and Capone from Capone and Noriega, he got into an argument with Lil Kim's crew outside the radio station, and before you know it, according to the documents, Damian Butler shot at someone in Capone's group, hit a dude, and boom. That's where all of this came from. And I guess Lil Cease was there, and a whole bunch of Junior Mafia people were there. And I'm going to have to say that Lil Cease told.
He told, bro.
He did tell.
He told, yeah.
And let me play this little apology. They had a whole Biggie event in 2019 where they brought everybody out from the whole Bad Boy camp. And I guess this is the first time where Lil Cease and Lil Kim were together.
Yeah.
So let me play this apology. And you could just tell by his apology that he knows that, you know, he did a little too much. Let me see if I can get this to play here. Oops.
He ended up hugging it out.
Here we go.
And I apologize for things I may have done that may have hurted you or affected you or made you feel bad. I genuinely apologize, and I love you from the bottom of my heart. You like one of my, you are my sister. You're not a real sister, but you my sister. For life. And I love you, and I thank you for bringing this energy here, all right?
Okay, so, I mean, if you listen closely to what he said, he apologized for everything he did, even if it may have hurt you.
Right, no doubt.
You know, and he knows that he told on her, and it may have contributed to her getting that year in prison.
No doubt, but it also contributed to the downfall of the rest of his career. Because he said in the videos and interviews that he went to Dame Dash, he went to different people to try to get back on. And everybody say, dude, you got to clear your name up, homie. You know what I mean? So he got the door closed on him because nobody wanted to work with him.
And I believe he believes in the code, and I got proof that he believes in this code, that he violated himself. This is a 2019 interview on the red carpet of the BET Hip Hop Awards, and this brother named Kodak from All Urban Central asked him about the 6ix9ine situation. Listen closely to what Lil Cease says here at the end of
This
this.
is your big homie Kodak. This is All Urban Central. We got the legendary Lil Cease. Lil Cease, what's up?
What's up, baby? What's going on?
So, hey, man, I'm great. I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm talking to you. So we know the Queen B, is being honored tonight. So talk to me about her legacy. You've been there from the beginning.
Her legacy, man, you know, it's been something special, man. She broke down barriers in hip-hop in the 90s that nobody's ever done before. And it's only right 20, 25 years later, we get to honor her for everything she paved the way for. And the first thing she's doing is bringing her Junior Mafia people out here to show love with her. I got all my other Junior Mafia members out here.
Oh, Junior Mafia's in the building.
Junior Mafia's in the building. We all here to represent for Lil Kim. They honoring the Queen. That's the Queen of rap right there.
So look, y'all. So look, I'm glad I got you guys here because New York has always been relevant in hip hop since literally the very beginning in the basement in Harlem. So look, with everything that's going on with Tekashi right now, him repping New York, him being a New York rapper, and him also being called a snitch. Is that a bad look for him or New York as a whole?
That ain't my concern right now.
Y'all not,
That ain't my concern right now. That man got to deal with his own situation, his own thing. But you know, in hip hop, nobody don't condone that. So you know how that go. You know what I mean?
yeah, okay.
There you go. You heard it. In hip hop, nobody condones that.
No doubt.
So it's a little bit of a mixed message that you're getting there from Lil Cease, right?
Man, I don't know why these people think they didn't tell when they told, man. You know.
Yeah.
Well, you sure he said, hey, that ain't what I'm at. You was trying to duck it, but he had to say something, you know.
All right. Let's move on to talk about home improvement guy Tim Allen. At the time, he was arrested in 1978. His name was Tim Dick. I guess Tim Allen is his acting name.
Tim the Two-Man Taylor.
Yeah, and he got caught at the airport with 650 grams of cocaine. And he ended up receiving a 3 to 7 year sentence. But in his paperwork, it says he had cooperated with providing names of other people that he was involved in these cocaine transactions.
He told on everybody.
Yeah, he told on everyone.
He told on everybody. And a lot of people probably don't know this because when you see him on TV, you know, he happy-go-lucky, you know what I mean? But from what I read, man, he was a cold drug dealer back in the day. Like, he had shit sold up over in his neck of the woods, you know?
Hey, when I'm reading about him, the people who write about this whole thing, I guess they feel sympathetic to him because they want to talk about his tough childhood.
Oh, shit. You was a grown man when you told on them people, man. You knew better.
Yeah. But he got caught with 650 grams, which is, how much is that?
That's almost a kilo. It's probably about 3/4 of a kilo.
And, I mean, to me, that's a lot of cocaine.
No, it's a lot of cocaine. You know, no doubt. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of cocaine, you know.
And I don't know if you know what the 1978 prices of a bird of cocaine was, but if I'm correct, I think back in like 78, a bird was like 40,000.
Yeah, I heard they were sky high back then, you know. So depending on how he was breaking it down, selling it, I mean, man, you know, he could have made a whole lot of money off that.
And then he got caught with this bird at the airport.
Yeah, that made it federal, no doubt, you know, so. Did he end up going to the feds?
Yeah, he did. He ended up going. He did actually 2 years and 4 months. He got released in June of 1981 after getting popped in. I guess this would have been late 1978. Mm-hmm. So, is that a lot of time?
Well, and nowadays we're made to believe that it's not. You know, we made to believe that it's a walk in the park. But I mean, actually, shit, all that time is a lot of time. But I think he would have got more had he wouldn't have told on everybody. He gave them names of damn near everybody he knew. And so I'm sure that dropped it down significantly.
Now, this was a case that happened in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And according to an old newspaper article, it said here Tim Allen was facing more than 20 years and possibly life in prison for just short of a bird.
I don't see that, though. Yeah, I think they exaggerating, just like when some of these people getting caught with drugs or even some of these jury heists, they make it seem like it was a lot more than what it was money-wise, you know. But hell no, I don't see him getting no life sentence unless they got some kind of different laws up there. But it's federal shit. It's all the same.
Now, when we were talking about T.I., you mentioned these 3 things that are indicative to you. Someone's a snitch: a downward departure, Rule 35B, and 5K1.
Right.
These are all federal terms, right?
Right.
Yeah. So for people who are looking at state cases, those terms will not apply. But just briefly define what these mean. What is a downward departure?
A downward departure is when you assist the government in any kind of way in order to get a lesser sentence. So the Rule 35B, what you do is you sign an agreement to help the government in many different ways. You don't have to tell on your co-defendant. You can say, listen, I'm gonna set somebody else up, or I'm gonna provide information that can get you guys a conviction, out on the street. I'm gonna tell you where a house at, where the drugs at. I'm gonna tell you where a house at, where the guns at. And with those convictions, you knock my time off, So they got different kinds, like you say, but it's all the same thing. It's all snitching.
And the 5K1?
5K1 is the same thing. If you go to, I don't know if Pacer still have it on there, but I used to pull up people name on Pacer, and you go in there, and if you go at the look for, you'll see a 5K1, but a lot of people didn't know what it was. And it was also a downward departure. Basically, you agreed to assist the government for a lesser sentence. So you provided information or you set somebody up, and in a few cases I've read, there's been guys have been let out for a few days to go make something happen, to come back and honor what they decided to do as far as help the government.
So you would be able to find these types of documents on the Pacer website?
No doubt. I used to find them all the time, but I know they was getting strict on certain things that they were posting, Or you can go to a guy's court docket and you can see how many times he been in and out of court and shit, and see if you got a bunch of sealed stuff on his court dockets. You know what I mean? And all this sealed shit. What is you sealing? Basically, you covering up, the actions that you telling on somebody, you know what I mean? But you catch a dude with a Rule 35B, or you catch a dude with a 5K1 on his paperwork, I mean, you got to smash them right then and there because they're a rat.
So do you think that the federal government or whoever's in charge of that federal website is aren't putting that information in there like they used to? Is it changing?
Well, what they did was they stopped allowing us to have our paperwork in prison. So for guys who already had it, of course, it was grandfathered in there. Sometimes if they searched your cell and found it, if it was just right there, they'll take it, But they also know that it was intricate, part of people being able to stay on the yard, so it's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? But they try to keep the paperwork off the yard so we won't find out dudes is rat, but we're going to find out.
Okay, so let's say, for example, Tim Allen, or his complete name is Tim Dick Allen, or Tim Allen Dick. Let's say when he got to the yard, I don't know if this was like this back in 1978, 79, but he clearly cooperated with authorities. He clearly provided names of other people involved in drug trafficking. What would be on Tim Allen's paperwork when he got to the feds?
And his plea agreement would have been how he was able to obtain this sentence. So it would have said that he helped the government, he assisted the government in this by providing names. If you, like you say, you going further, you go to his sentencing transcripts. His sentencing transcripts are definitely going to say why he got the downward departure, why he only got 2 or 3 years. They're definitely going to say that. Now, the yard that he went to back then, was it an all-white yard? We talking about 78, 79. Blacks wasn't in the feds as deep as they are right now with the gang politics like they were back then.
Yeah, that's true.
So he could have hit the yard and nobody gave a damn because they lived so plush in the feds back in those days. Hey, you know what I mean? I don't know how they carried it. And you talking about he was up in Michigan. So he could have been around a bunch of white folks that didn't even give a shit about what he was in jail for. He could have just said, man, I got a dope case. And nobody said, I got one too. Never cared about looking at each other's paperwork.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it don't look like he ever got handled for it.
Well, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go to Pacer and I'm gonna pull up his case, man, and I'm gonna see if it comes up. It won't come up if he never filed an appeal or never went to trial. So, but if it's in there, I want to see what it does say, just to see if Pacer still, putting them out there like they should. We got a right to know.
Yeah, I guess it's one part of it. It's dangerous for the federal government to put these documents out there like that because the people who are actually helping them, they're also exposing them, right, through the system.
No doubt, but you should know that when you go tell them, people don't give a shit about you. They gonna get what they want out of it. They gonna get the whoever you set up. They gonna go get them people. They don't give a damn about you.
Well, Tim Allen got sent to a FCI back in 1978, so that meant that it was considered a serious offense.
Right, no doubt. Because but like I say, he was the man. They probably tracked him for a couple years before they actually got him.
But he only did 2 years and 4 months in the FCI. Will they send you to an FCI for that least amount of time today?
Yeah, they will. I know a guy. He got caught up in the FEMA when they were doing the FEMA fraud, and he didn't even get sentenced. He got 6 months probation, and then he violated the probation. He had never been to the feds a day in his life, and they sent him to a FCI. But he had been in the state prison before. You know what I mean? So back then, that FCI right there could have been so soft, though. It could have been like a low. So they probably knew, maybe nothing would have happened to him, They know.
All right. Well, I think without saying, I already know what you're stamping on Tim Allen's.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, don't.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, he became a big TV star, and it didn't seem to hurt him. It doesn't always hurt everybody, but it did seem to affect Lil Cease's career, at least in the hip hop world.
No doubt. In the black community, like you say, they take it more serious, And Tim, who knew that? I mean, I didn't know all these years. I used to watch his show and all that. I never knew he was a rat. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And now I even look at him different now. You know what I mean? But yeah, who knew?
Even though this happened in 78, how many years ago was that? Like 35 years ago?
You're talking about a long time.
Will you look at Tim Allen differently, even though this was 35, 37 years ago?
If I see Tim Allen, you look at him like you rat,
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is he was able to go on, survive, and make a decent life for himself, But everybody can't do that, And he did it,
Well, the last person we're going to talk about is a dude that possibly informed, and he's still sitting in prison. And we're talking about Jimmy Henchman. And the reason why Jimmy Henchman's name comes up is because he actually gave a proffer to the federal government, which is, I guess, answering questions. Well, let me read this one definition of what a proffer is. It says here, a proffer is a legal term that refers to confidential negotiations between prosecutors and defendants. Federal courts define proffer as legally binding contract that neither suspects nor the government can breach. This includes the secrecy of any revealed evidence or criminal admissions. When an individual signs a contract, in general, the other party is obligated to honor its terms. So this whole Jimmy Henchman case, there's a 800-page document that covers all of this, and I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but it's pretty clear. He sat down with government officials, he answered questions, and some of these questions were incriminating.
No doubt. And don't think that you used the word confidential. Now, why is you making confidential negotiations with the government? You know what I mean? And I was shocked on his behalf because when I was coming up, his name was in the gangster names as far as, putting that gangster shit down and standing on it, So I was shocked when I heard about Jimmy Henchman. But the thing about it is, he didn't sit down for one proffer statement. He sat down 9 times.
Yeah, multiple proffers.
You know what I mean? He sat down 9 times with them people and did 9 proffers, man. And fuck you talking about? You know what I mean? But on the flip side, has the sentence been reduced at all?
No, because from what I understand, and these proffers, basically the government says, okay, we're going to give you a proffer. You must tell the truth, but we can't use this against you for any further cases. Well, it turns out that he admitted to some stuff, and they ended up using it against him. So I think his case is still pending in terms of appeals, but all these proffers he gave, it did not help him at all. He's still sitting in prison, and it don't look like he's getting out anytime soon.
Well, he should have shut his damn mouth when he went in there, but they was going to probably still bust his head anyway,
Well, his original sentence was, I believe, 30 years.
Yeah, that's why I said they was going to bust his head anyway. And that proffer shit didn't even help him. Yeah,
so, and this proffer has come up with other people. I haven't had a chance to look into anything specifically with MCA. He answered grand jury. I believe Da Vinci from BMF, he either, I think he did a proffer. When you hear of a guy giving a proffer without knowing what's in the proffer, because maybe that's incriminating, maybe it's not, but just to sit down with government officials, to sit down and have a conversation,
no doubt,
to answer questions about crimes. How do y'all look at that in terms of prison politics? Hey, this guy did a proffer.
Well, I always lined it up because I didn't know the full definition. So I went with what the people on the yard and people who have been in prison for years were saying. You know, you do a proffer, homie, you told something. You know what I mean? You told something. You know what I mean? Of course, people go in there all the time and plead guilty, do a plea agreement to say, okay, I'm going to plead guilty. Okay, you basically said that whatever they charging you with, you pleading guilty on. Now, proffer, though, you sitting down explaining, giving details, and having a whole discussion about something. You know what I mean? And this something has to be about something other than what the hell you did, because we know what you did already. You know, we wouldn't have you in federal court. We wouldn't have you in the federal system if we didn't know what you did. So I've always was led to believe and did believe and still do that if you do a proffer statement, man, it's not looking good at all. It's, you know, you more on the snitch side than anybody. Now, I'm sure that it's some proffers that may have been done and somebody didn't snitch. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's no exception. I'm saying when we hear that term proffer, dude, you rolled over, you know.
Yeah, even I believe the Da Vinci Blue made a statement or somewhere that he said, yeah, I did a proffer, but I didn't tell them anything that they didn't already know. And that's that excuse again.
Yeah, that's that bullshit.
I don't know how to explain what that means.
It mean you told. You know what I mean? It mean you told Alex, but the thing about it, and you didn't tell them nothing they already know. But if they already knew it, then why you felt an obligation to say it? You know what I mean? So that's where that comes in at, and you may have received a lesser sentence for it. You know, so you told, man. You know.
And also answering questions in front of a grand jury, meaning that it's not a trial. It's not no one is going to jail at this moment. But some people think that if I'm answering questions for a grand jury, that's not telling.
Now, that's where I'm a little fuzzy at, because I don't know anybody personally who answered questions for a grand jury, because I would have said, well, what was the questions and what did they ask you? And, you know, I don't have all the history on the grand jury, but you can't get me to go talk to a grand jury about nothing. You know what I mean? They say, man, listen, man, you got a grand jury hearing coming up, grand jury. You know what I mean? And I'm, you know, got to get in there and just thug it out, man. You know, I don't have nothing to talk about.
Well, I think a grand jury is very similar to what you see in court. It just doesn't have, it's just not a trial. It's to determine whether or not someone should get indicted, or if someone should stand trial. And in order to get to that point, you got to bring people in to tell. You know,
no doubt. See, I was finna say, I mean, if you the only dude on your case, and you go to, I mean, I guess you wouldn't even have a grand jury if you're the only dude on your case, you know what I mean? But that would be the only way I'm going to go talk to somebody. If I'm the only dude on my case and I'm trying to, you know, and I got an alibi or some that can set me free. Look, bro, I was at work. Go check the camera. You know, something like that. Other than that, man, I mean, you know, you going to sit down, talk to these people, and, man, you telling on something.
Yeah,
you provide information that they don't have in order to decide if they're going to convict somebody. You know what I mean? And when you get to talking about somebody else, no matter what you're talking about, if you're talking to a federal, state, or local or law enforcement about another person, you snitching, man, especially if you provide any kind of details besides some stand-up ones like, no, this dude go to work every day, or this dude, never committed a crime in his life. I mean, that's something different if you went to the grand jury and said that.
Yeah.
But if you doing anything to give them any kind of implication that this guy may be involved or this woman may be involved in illegal activity, use a rat.
Well, with the Jimmy Henchman case, his real name is James Rosemond, Rosemond, and you can go on that Pacer site, as you said, and look up his case. And you could read about the whole murder for hire and all the proffers that he gave and all the information that he told government officials. And I'm just shocked and surprised at just how comfortable, you know, a guy like Jimmy Henchman is sitting down with the government, answering questions about murder for hires.
No doubt. I would have expected a whole lot more out of him, to be honest with you. You know, and he one of them guys that, to be honest with you, if it wasn't documented, you know, and it was just a rumor, I would sit back and say, nah, not him. You know what I mean?
Well, I think if the internet didn't exist, a lot of people would still say that, because we have access to these documents because of the internet.
Right, no doubt.
And if you didn't have the internet, you'd have to do the footwork.
No doubt. And how many people do that? Exactly.
Yeah.
Slam and none, you know.
Yeah. So I think that in a different time period, just imagine how many people from the 70s and 80s got away with the stuff they got away with that the internet would have exposed them. But you know what? A lot of this old stuff from the 70s and 80s and 60s is getting digitized.
Exactly. That's how Tim Allen is, even though he discussed it in a few interviews, you know, but, you know, people would have never knew that because it happened. There wasn't no internet back then.
Yeah, so what you stamping Jimmy Henchman, man?
Man, Jimmy Henchman filed for doing 9 proffers, man. He'd have told something. I mean, like I say, I don't see the 5K1, I don't see the Rule 35B, but in my heart, Alex, he told something, man.
He definitely told something, and it didn't help him. He's still sitting in prison for actually. He got a life sentence, I believe. He's in prison for life plus 30.
Damn.
Which I never heard of a sentence like that. You ever heard of it?
Oh, yeah.
You get life plus.
Yeah, you got to die and then go back and do 30 more. You know what I mean? But, yeah, they giving it out, man.
I ain't never heard of no sentence like that. Life plus some more years?
Well, what they do is, you know, because sometimes you can beat that life sentence. You know, I have known people who beat the life sentence and you come back and you got the 30 to fall back on, and it's rare that you're going to beat both of them, you know.
Yeah, I know they're just playing games with people to make sure they never come home.
Right.
But I think people need to learn their lessons that sometimes all this telling and all this cooperating with the federal government is not going to help you at all.
No, not at all. And I'm wondering if Jimmy Henchman thought he was going to do a Sammy the Bull and get away with, you know, telling on, you know, speaking on all the stuff I did, you know what I mean? And it probably backfired on him.
See that with Sammy the Bull though, he did his before he went to jail. You know that he decided to become a witness very early on in the case.
Yeah, you're right.
Some of these guys they go to jail, take it to trial, they get all day, and then they realize they change their mind.
Yeah.
So I think Sammy the Bull he knew from the very beginning I'm about to become a rat.
Man,
and he seemed very comfortable in that position. Even though he was involved in 19 homicides and was able to beat it. So let's recap. We stamping. I think we both stamping T. Well, I'm you stamping T.I.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm a little.
Half and half.
Yeah, because like I said, I don't want to call him one, and I don't got the paperwork. It just looks suspicious on my behalf. So. I'm going to just say I'm going to stay away from the guy, you know, but I don't have no evidence to just stamp him.
And that's based on his sentencing for the federal gun case, not for the testimony.
Not for the testimonial, but for the gun case and the weed tips and shit. You know
the weed tip video.
He you know, he get, yeah.
Well, I'm going to give him a pass on all of that. Hey, the weed tip video, hey, yeah, that was funny, but I knew what he was doing, so I'm gonna give him a full pass. I guess you stamping him halfway.
Yeah, I'm
on that.
Stamp him halfway. Yeah.
Lil Cease, I guess Lil Cease gets a full stamp from me.
No doubt, it's a full stamp here.
And Jimmy Henchman, James Rosamond, I'm giving him a double stamp.
Man, he had to tell something, so I'm stamping him, man.
He definitely told. I mean, even if you tell on yourself, you telling. And Tim, Dick, Allen, you getting a double stamp, just like Jimmy Henchman.
Yeah, because he'd have told on the whole. He didn't have no problem with it, though. Hey, man, shit, it was everybody, you know.
Now, we often don't talk about snitching on yourself, but when I get these cases that attorneys hire me to consult them on, a lot of these dudes end up, the biggest evidence against them is their own mouth.
Right, but I can't call you a snitch if you told on yourself. I mean,
yeah, but
I can't call you that.
If you're running your mouth to where that becomes evidence against you, you snitched on yourself.
I mean, to a certain degree, yeah, you told on yourself. But I mean, to call it a snitch on yourself is, I don't know if I could agree with that one. But it's the same thing, you know. But snitching to me, it had to be another person involved that you're telling something on somebody else. If you tell on yourself, you really just was a dumbass, you know, and you messed up. But I can't call it a snitch if you tell on yourself.
Well, I got a lot of these cases in the last 10 years where the police use what's called a Perkins Operation. A lot of the newer generation right now are going to jail under Perkins Operations. And what a Perkins Operation is is as soon as you get arrested for a hot one, as soon as you get arrested and you're in that police station at 77th Division, they send somebody in that cell with you that's wired with a microphone and a camera.
Damn.
And it's called a Perkins Operation because years ago, this was settled by the Supreme Court in a case called Perkins. And what that person does is he says, "Hey, what's up, homie? What you in here for?" And he gets you so comfortable that you tell him, "Yeah, man, I got caught with this pistol, man." And he's like, "All right, man, let me tell you what you should have did." And,
Right.
and before you know it, you spilling your guts to this dude, and he's the LAPD the whole time.
Oh no, I seen it in the feds, and it wasn't a camera, but they put a witness in the cell with the homies. They was cast from Carver Park, and they had I don't know if they had a bank robbery or what they had, but they put a dude up in the cell with them at MDC, man. And, and dude got to breaking his case down, the dude, and trying to, and lo and behold, man, that one same dude that was in the cell with him was on the witness stand saying that he told me this while we were cellies, man, and I have seen that. Now, it's funny you said 77th Division because the first time I ever been arrested and shit, I went to 77th Division, but it seemed like there should be some illegal, seemed like that should be illegal though.
Well, it went to a court case.
And they approved it?
Called Perkins, yeah. And what's different, see, this is not new where the police been putting people in cells to get them to confess. But what's new about it now is that the people are equipped with audio and video. And they'll put it in, let's say you have some buttons here. There'll be a camera in that button. And the dude has a wristband on, like he's being booked. No doubt. And so you feel like, oh yeah, you just caught a case too?
Well, I was always trained in to lie about your case pretty much. Not drastically, you know what I mean? But by the time I started going to jail, you got to think I was 18 and 91. So the homies had so much history and going, you know what I mean? Hey, homie, twist your shit up. You in jail for a shooting or a hot one or, hey, man, lie about it. Just lie a little bit. Don't be telling dudes about your whole get down. You know what I mean? So I done ran into dudes who was fighting murders in the county jail. Man, what you in here for, homie? Motherfucker tell me a warrant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it took time and for people to start understanding that the homies was knocking each other off. You wasn't even at the case, but I told you everything about it. So, it got to the point to where you had to take measures like that in order to protect yourself.
Well, what was I going to say? The Perkins Operation thing, it's huge right now. And when I get these cases, it's like, dude, the biggest evidence against you is you running your mouth in that cell.
No doubt.
So I always say, man, you told on yourself.
Well, you know what?
You snitched on yourself. That's what I'm always saying.
But that's what goes on, and then these people just, I seen it recently. The homies calling, you know what I mean, from jail. Man, they only, all they got is this, all I did was that. Well, yeah, they know you didn't just told them everything. They, they know exactly what's going on. But those dudes in jail with them. I just had recently somebody told me, man, no, the homie that's here with me said if I do this and I do that. I said, well, why he didn't do it? Why he still sitting there with you if that's all you got to do?
Yeah.
Stop listening to these dudes sitting there, man, with you, you know what I mean, that ain't never did this shit before, and people be so scared. What happens is, Alex, is when people get arrested, they're immediately thinking about the consequences. So they want to talk to somebody that's been in a situation to see what the consequences, like what's my guideline, how can this end up? Dude, this dude don't know. Your circumstances could be a lot different than his circumstances. You know what I mean? You're going to find out later on in life. Sitting here asking this dude what he think about it, and people do that shit all the time.
That's exactly what it is. And these dudes that do these Perkins operations that work for the LAPD, they know exactly what you said. They know how to the weak parts of this guy right now. He wants to know what's going to go on. He wants to know, because this mostly happens to guys that are like 18 to like 25.
Right.
If you're over 30, you ain't falling for a Perkins operation. In most instances, it's these youngsters that fall for this Perkins.
No doubt.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. But I just looked up Jimmy Henchman. He's in Hazleton, USP, and it says here his release date is life. They don't have a release date. Yeah. Are you familiar with Hazleton?
No, I've heard of it, but I'm trying to think if I knew any homies was over there. I don't think so, but I have heard of it.
Hazleton is in Brewston Mills, West Virginia. Damn, yeah. West Virginia.
West Virginia, man.
That's the Appalachian Mountains over there.
Man.
So, yeah, go look up that case and go read about James Rosemond, a.k.a. Jimmy Henchman. And before we wrap it up, man, you got these new shirts over here, FG Unleashed.
No doubt, man. You know, I brought you a couple, you know what I mean? It's my YouTube channel for the people that don't know. You know, I got my shirts going. You know, I'm trying to get my YouTube channel, you know, popping. So if you don't mind, you know, tune into it. FG Unleashed on YouTube. You know, check out the videos, like them, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I really appreciate it. You could also follow me on Instagram at FGeneral1, and hey, FG Unleashed, I appreciate it.
And I'm at Alex Alonso 101, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and StreetTV on YouTube. And that wraps up episode 10 of Streets and Scholars.